Hello everyone, and welcome to the Indie Author Life Show. I'm your host, MG Hunt, and today I have someone with me who is not an author, but a passionate, talented, and all-around incredible person, Laura from Hummingbird Editing. Yay! Thank
Hi.
you. Thank you, Laura,
Thank-
for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for pushing me outside my comfort zone.
You are the editor extraordinaire, and I can't wait to get into your life as an indie editor and book lover as well. Because,
Mm.
I mean, look at the background behind you. There is an array of books that you are so passionate about, and I'm sure some of them might even be ones that you have edited as well, perhaps somewhere lining the
Not in
shelves.
here. I
Not
keep
in
I
here.
keep the ones I've edited like on my desk, just like stacked up on top of each other.
That's so
Just as
nice.
like a little visual
Yeah.
boost.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what you need. I mean, heck, I've got my annotated copy of
Oh,
Still Waters right
look at
here
it.
in front of me, which of course I should say to everyone was edited by the wonderful Laura. Thank you so much again. We'll get into
It was
that
a
a bit.
pleasure.
Well, I heard so many rave reviews about your editing services and style, and of course, connecting with you on social media, that when it came to thinking about how I'm going to approach editing this book, I just felt like there was no other choice than to
Oh.
go for you. Because I'd heard so many wonderful things from
One,
yourself.
well, one thing you need to know about me is that I struggle hard with compliments. So thank you.
Yeah,
I
that's
see.
okay. With a compliment, just take it. Just take it because I
Okay.
am definitely my love language is definitely words of affirmation. So I know that I definitely shower people with compliments any chance that I get. But one thing that I knew I could trust is the opinion of my other author friends that you've worked with. So
Mm.
you've worked with SK May, Jess McFarlane. Have you worked with your co-host of your podcast, Kate Louise, as well? Is that
I
right?
have, yes.
Yeah. So that's just to name a few. Rachel O'Rourke as well. Rachel
Yep.
O'Rourke. Some people that have been on the show and maybe future on the show as well.
Oh.
You heard it here first. But we should get into maybe some stuff that we can talk about to do with your life and who
Mhm.
Laura is. Laura from Hummingbird Editing. So, Laura, tell us about yourself.
Well, funnily enough, I say recently, but it's going to be a year in a couple of months. I moved back to the suburb where I grew up, so in the western suburbs of Melbourne, and yeah, so I spent probably nearly 30 years here. Moved away, but then missed my mum and dad too much, so I moved back, and
Yeah.
now I live like a 3-minute drive from them.
Yeah.
What can I say? Always been a very avid reader. Um, to a point of annoyance, I think. Like everyone would be like, "Where's Laura? Oh,
She's
she's in her
reading.
room reading." I would like go to the store with my mum and like grab books off the shelf and chuck them in the and my mum would be
How
like, "No."
cheeky.
Then I'd be like, "Yes."
Yes. No, that's so cute. Oh my God.
Always. And writing as well. I loved school. Um, always like wanted to do well.
Hmm.
Got along with my teachers. I was one of those. Like, yeah, just went straight into university,
Yep.
became a teacher, did that
Mm.
for 13 years, and then I decided it was time for a bit of a change.
Absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
long time in the teaching industry. And I know people
Yeah.
say that, you hear about teachers obviously longer than that. And when you go to uni and you study education to be a teacher, well, in kind of most courses, you expect to go into the career that you envision from what you studied. But
Mm.
with education, I feel like I hear more and more about people steering away from it after perhaps a shorter innings than other careers out there.
And
You
I
know.
get that. Like, I
Hmm.
see, as someone who's been in it a long time, when I saw people who are fresh from uni,
Mm.
because now they're getting, because of the teacher shortage, they're getting
Yes.
teachers that aren't, like, haven't completed their qualification fully yet.
Oh.
They're like in their last or second last year of their course, and they're getting them to come in and teach like under the guidance of another like experienced teacher. And so I
Mm.
see them and they're so excited. And I'm like, I want you to hold on to that.
Hold on to that as much as you can. And look, I'm
Yeah.
sure there are definitely teachers out there that have continued to have that enthusiasm. And I'm sure, you did for the most part, but you had to honor what was truly, I don't know, calling you to do what made you happy in,
Yeah. And I think
yeah.
because I'm in my mid 30s now, and I think
Mm.
post COVID, because I was like I turned 30 during COVID.
Mm.
I think it's just
I
it's
know
not,
it
I
goes
don't
as a
even
blur.
I don't know anymore.
No, no.
And I think like being in your 30s,
Mm.
it's sort of it's different. It's so different to your 20s because you're like in that in between where you're like I spent my 20s like trying to figure things out and like be a people pleaser and sort of like do what I thought I was meant to do. And when you hit your 30s, I'm talking from my experience, obviously
Mm.
not a generalization, but
Mm.
you just sort of stop caring so much
Yeah.
about what other people expect of you,
Yep.
apart from like your circle.
Mm.
And for me, like it was, I had to go through a lot of like mental health struggles to get to a point where I was like, well, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
Like, what is going to make me happy?
Yep.
Yeah, and like that was the starting point, I guess, for
Yeah.
everything that's happened with Hummingbird anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is interesting how sometimes it does take, but like a crisis point where you kind
Mm.
of go, the dark night of the soul sort of thing, to realize, what do I really want out of life? Is this, going to be my trajectory for the rest of my working days? Or
Yeah.
what can I do to change it? I think COVID probably did inspire a lot of people to sit and think about
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
I think for me, COVID proved, because of remote teaching, it proved that I love being in the classroom. It's
Mm.
such a joy.
Yeah.
Um, and so when I went back, I was so excited to be back in the classroom, but it's sort of like the system around it. Like being in the
Yes.
classroom is great, and being with the kids is so much fun,
Yeah.
but everything else is sort of soul sucking.
It
Yeah.
didn't quite get back to, or it just like the problems were probably already there, but
Yeah.
I think our patience had waned a little bit after COVID. And then you go, no, I
Mm.
don't have to put up with this when I wasn't doing that in the last year or so, and my mental health had improved because I was, away from the chaos and everything that lockdowns arguably, not for everyone, but for a lot of people, it did offer a bit of a sanctuary. And then you go back into it and you're like, okay, no, no, this is not it.
Mm. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Big
Yeah.
transition back.
Massive transition. But then you've had
Yeah.
another transition into a different career that has become your bread and butter for
Yes,
moving forward. Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, which we will get into in a little bit about the
Oh,
transition into your full-time editing job. But I would love for you to give us a bit of an insight into what a day or week in the life of Laura at Hummingbird looks like. Doesn't have to be work-centered as well. Just could be, what do you like to do?
well, I mean, it is mainly work centered
Yep.
because I guess you don't realize until you are your own boss
Yeah.
that like there is no start and end time. You sort
No
of
annual leave. No, nothing.
no. Oh, that was yeah, that was a shock because like when I finished up with teaching last year, I jumped straight into full-time editing because I was like, I got to get this happening.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point where I was like, oh, wait, I forgot to like give myself time off. Whoops.
I'm tired now. Can I
Yeah.
take a break now?
So my life right now is so completely different from teaching, obviously. Starting with like my days are much calmer.
Mm,
So, and yeah, so I wake up in the morning and I don't dread going to work. That's the first thing. Um,
tick.
I wake up in the morning. I don't have an alarm, which is great, but I do have a patch who likes to wake me up.
Yes. Hmm.
As soon
Doggo.
as like maybe I slightly open my eyes or my breathing changes, he's
Yep.
like, "It's go
Straight
time,
on.
food."
Mum,
Um,
mum.
yes. So I, wake up, feed him, have a cup of tea. I'm not a morning person, so I like take my time in the morning to wake up, and like I do it slowly. I maybe do some things around the house, and then at around like 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'll get started. So
Nice.
I'll like edit. I'll sort of, it depends on like the deadline as well,
Yeah.
but I'll just edit until I can't edit no more
Yep.
for the day.
For the day. And that
Yeah.
might be maybe like an 8 hour day or such,
Yeah.
or maybe earlier, longer,
Yeah.
whatever.
It just depends on how I'm feeling as well. Um, like if I, 'cause the big thing is I find it hard to go to sleep at night because I'm not like completely physically and mentally drained. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, my brain is just, it just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so that's another big difference. But it's just a different way of life that I'm loving. It's,
Yeah.
you know, I can wear what I want, which is mainly pajamas. I can eat when I want. I can go for a walk when I want.
Yep.
Like I can go to my mum and dad's for lunch if I want to. Like they'll come over and have a cup of tea with me. It's just
That's the dream.
it is honestly the dream.
Yeah.
Um, and
Mm.
I didn't know that life could be
Yep.
like this in terms of like my nervous system not being in overdrive all the time and having anxiety. Um,
Yes. Mm.
People like I loved the kids, but like having to make 1,000 decisions a day
Mm.
for them, being called at all the time, like it's just being interrupted all the time as well.
Yeah. The
So it's just
support wasn't
nice.
there, I think, for teaching in general. It's not there. But, I think that the full-time 9 to 5 expectation is just, it's archaic, in my opinion. It's just
Yeah.
so
And like
outdated. Mm.
for the kids themselves, like
Yeah.
I could not sit in a room for 6 hours and listen to someone talk to me. And
Yes.
the way that we're sort of like told to teach and,
Yeah.
professional learning,
Mm.
it's like they all have to sit on the floor on a spot, talk to them, do the, and then like in their assigned seat. And like
Mm.
I tried to change that up a bit because I taught preps
Mm-hmm.
last 2 years,
Yep.
and was given a little bit more freedom with them. I go through my day, it's really quiet.
Yeah.
I love my work, and I am making thousands of decisions, but they're about books.
Yes,
So
and they're probably a lot slower where you can not have to, where it's like, okay, we got to keep these kids entertained or they're going to go haywire, sort of thing.
yeah.
You just have to entertain one fur baby.
Mm.
It's a final
He's hard to
decision.
manage sometimes too, but it's
Yes,
delightful.
it's a different sort of challenge.
But yeah, like a completely different lifestyle. One main difference is the social aspect. So I don't really have
Yep.
anyone to talk to during the day, whereas like in teaching, you form those really close friendships. It's like trauma bonding.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like you always have someone to talk to, even like someone next door or
To complain and be
whatever.
like, what's
Whereas
going
that's a
on
bit
here?
different these days. So
Yeah, yeah, but you can trauma bond with us on on Instagram and whatever for the indie world. But it's not as
yeah.
it's a different sort of yeah, I don't think I'd be calling it trauma, but there's definitely aspects of the indie world that it's good and the literary world where it's good to talk about these things. So that has changed maybe the face-to-face um interaction that you have with other people. But I will say like workplaces, it's funny like that. Like I have made a few friends from work and I really enjoy chatting with them, but workplaces kind of don't encourage that in a way. Like they're all about like, oh, collaboration, all that stuff, but God forbid that you start socializing and, having a good
Mm.
time at work because oh no,
No
that's
fun at work. Come on.
what do you mean? Like, I will say, like, my work is a little bit relaxed to compared to some other places, but I have worked in workplaces where it's brutal and soul destroying, and I think that I totally relate to you with having to take a break and then not knowing how to rest
Mm.
from a job where you've been on high alert for most of your days and
Mm.
then almost like it becomes a new challenge to reset your body and I can totally relate to
Yeah.
feeling not mentally and emotionally exhausted throughout the day so that when you can't get to try and go to sleep It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how it gets like that, but that's
And
just
I guess
how.
because
Yeah. Mm.
you don't, you haven't taught yourself how to like naturally like power down, I guess.
Yes.
And like
Yes.
put your like having that mindfulness and being able to fall asleep because
Mm.
you've never had a chance to do that
Yep.
because you get to bed and you're just like, I'm out.
It's not prioritized and
Yeah.
it's not encouraged in a lot of spaces because, for one, it doesn't, in probably bosses' minds, doesn't contribute to any profit making. And,
Mm,
in society, it's just like, oh, well, we are taught throughout school as well to achieve, to go for it, to, put your best foot forward. But it's like, well, where's the time to look after our mental health? But that's another, that's a huge conversation
that
for
is,
another
yeah,
day. But all in all, I'm so glad to hear that you have found such an amazing life for yourself by working for yourself because it's
yeah,
the dream. I think you really
yeah,
are living the dream. And it shows in what you do. I think that it's made you, even though your personality is such a friendly and warm and welcoming person, it's just grown exponentially because you are a lot more relaxed in your
yeah,
day-to-day life. Yeah.
yeah, totally.
I know that you have answered my question about, I've got here, have you always been a reader slash English language fanatic? Which to that, I guess you would say tick, yes, you were.
Hmm.
Did you
Yeah,
do all the not language, English and literature subjects in high school? Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Like had to do English and Lit.
Yes.
And then also history because like that's more reading.
Oh, yes. And which history did you study?
I remember in year 12 I did revolution. So it was
Yep.
the French Revolution and the Russian Revolution. I loved the French. I still don't understand the Russian Revolution, but the
Yeah.
French Revolution, yes, love, love.
You You would have killed it. Absolutely. So, have you ever thought about writing your own book or anything like that? Or have you always been like a passionate reader and I guess editor?
Um, I remember as a child writing a lot, and then, I'm that old where I had a childhood without computers, but
Yep.
when I when I I think I was a teenager when I got my first computer,
Yeah.
maybe grade six anyway.
Yeah.
And I was just so excited about like being able to write. So I would write all the time. Um, and then yeah, like I actually started something not long ago because I had this idea. I saw like a meme and it like sparked an idea. So I plotted something out and I started
Oh,
writing. But
what?
then just life got in the way,
Yeah.
like
Life
with
gets in
editing
the
and
way.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then the podcast. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like it's still up here, but I don't
Good.
know if it'll ever happen.
That's okay. It can take
Yeah.
time. I'm excited for you. I think that's
Thanks.
awesome, Laura. I think that
I
yeah, keep going.
I
Keep going.
think I only wrote a couple of thousand words, but it just felt so good. It felt so good, and I was like, "Oh, this is such a good feeling."
Do it. I think that
Yeah.
you'll do it. I think that, if there's anything that I can tell you about the process, and I know you've got a lot of resources that you could pull from a big community that would help you get that stuff out there. But one thing about it is that I've learnt to just go with my flow of how I'm going to do things. I'm not a fast writer. I'm definitely not a fast reader. That's for sure. It took me 6 years to get Still Waters Run Deep out. And that was all kinds of things. But the writing part of it, that started back in 2019. And yeah, it took me, yeah, a good 3 years to get the Still Waters Run Deep manuscript done. And self edit and all that kind of stuff. If it takes you longer or shorter, it is what it is. I think the
Yeah.
creative process is something that can't really be I was going to say controlled, but I can't think of any other word because life gets in the way too. You know, yeah,
Yeah, and like it's not I don't I think I would just do it for fun anyway. Like if I ever
exactly.
have a spare moment
Yeah.
and stop taking on new things and like having new ideas,
Ah,
Yeah,
totally.
I'll
Yeah.
you know,
It
it's still
does.
there, it'll be there. It's
It,
just not.
that's right. It will still be there and it can be something you can come back to. And one thing that I know I'm learning in this process too is with Still Waters Run Deep. my first book coming out. I'm working on another one, which I know you are in the loop about because I had to reach out to you and change the time frame that I was going
Mm.
to send it to you. And first of all, thank you so much for being so accommodating with my pace of being so slow. But I had to make sure that I pulled back and realized that, like, yeah, this is not going to get done anytime soon. I'm committed to it, but, working with your editor to make sure that you have the same goals aligned and keeping the communication open is paramount. And
Oh
you
yeah,
are so good
absolutely.
with working with that. And I'm sure you've had other authors that rearrange schedules and things like that all the time. And,
Mm.
you can work with that, within reason, within reason as
Of
well.
course, like I
Yeah.
get that things come up and
Yeah.
life happens, and I get that indie authors are juggling. Like
Yeah.
this isn't, they have jobs, they have families, so I'm never gonna penalize anyone for that.
No,
I'm always
no.
gonna try and make it work. And I have like a really good client base
Yeah.
whereby if I ask people to swap spots, like a lot
Yeah.
of people are more than happy to if they're ready.
Yep. Yep.
So if someone needs to push something back, like a swap can happen.
A swap can
So
happen. Yeah.
yeah, it's a I don't want to say well-oiled machine, but
I think
yeah,
it's
it's a well-oiled
I
machine.
think it's slick. I think it's
Yeah.
really good. It certainly works for us and it works for you. And that's the main thing that the relationship that you have with all your authors is so solid that we can come
Mm.
to you and be like, hey, I'm struggling to get this done.
And
Help
sometimes I
me.
get the vibe anyway. Like
Yes.
sometimes I feel it. I'm like, I don't th just based
Yeah.
on because I'm always checking in, even if it's not the month for your edit. Like
Yes.
I sort of check in and be like, do you need anything?
Yeah.
So I sort of know
Yeah.
who might who might need more time. So I always offer it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
caring nature of you. It's the teacher in you as well. I can
Because
imagine.
I want the editing to be fun. I don't want people to be
Yeah.
stressed about it. I'm like,
No.
if you need more time, take more time.
Yeah, and that's what's amazing working with you. It feels so stress-free. So stress-free. Oh
Oh,
my
I love to
goodness.
hear it.
Yes. And to that as well, you are the biggest hype person out there. I'm gonna have to link to some other Instagram posts that I've seen that in particular Jess McFarlane wrote I think she posted just recently about your feedback
Um,
for for her latest book that's coming out. Oh, is it Man of Bears? I want to
yeah,
check. Man of
September
Bears.
16.
September 16. Yes. Shout out to you. But the post, I'll bring it up, and it's called Shit My Editor Said, knowing you as the editor, where it'll be like, let's go. I freaking love her. I don't like him. Go away. Yeah. Yeah. We need that. We need hype like that. And you wouldn't get that in a traditional, I mean, I don't know, but I can imagine in a traditional, you won't get that service.
Yeah. I don't know, actually. I really wouldn't know, but I just feel like reactions are an important part of the edit too, because you're sort of like a test audience as well.
Yeah.
And I always grumble with Jess because I'm like, this slow burn is killing me.
Don't even go there.
And while I understand the slow burn, and the slow burn definitely has to happen the way it has to happen for the story
Yes.
to work and the character growth, like I like to share the frustration at the same time as a reader. Because
Yes.
that's how you know it's working. If I was like, I'm a bit bored with this, like
So
then you
there's
would
a
know. Yeah.
Yeah, then there'd be a bit of
But
a
if I'm
problem.
having these feelings,
Mm, mm.
like I was reading one yesterday and there was like these two lines and it broke my heart. I was so like just teary.
My
And I
God.
messaged the author and I was like, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you? And she was like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like this is good. This is how you know that it's
Powerful.
because even me looking at it from an analytical point of view, because editing and reading are so different.
Yeah.
Um, like I can still feel.
You can still get the feeling from there. And I think that contributes to your holistic way that you do edit, where it's not as, well, I can imagine, and I'm just assuming things here, that it's not just take the emotion out of it, a strict read through for the grammar, which I know would be a part of it as well, but you can't help but put your heart into what you do.
Personally, no, I can't.
Yeah.
Like I know some editors like don't I've spoken about this in like choosing an editor podcast ep. on Grumpy
Shout out to
Sunshine.
that.
Like everyone just does things differently. And like some editors prefer to just like focus on the manuscript and not like know the client, whereas I'm the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
love
I
it.
need, yeah, it is holistic in that,
Mm.
I'm communicating with the client at the same time and um yeah, it's a
Yeah.
collaborative experience.
I think that's really important because I think, as the episode did talk about, which I really am enjoying all the insights that you and Kate Louise are talking about in the Grumpy Sunshine podcast. I really enjoy how you talk about that because I think one thing that, and I know you understand this with authors, is that there is a sort of fear that when you give over your manuscript, an editor might hypothetically change the voice of what you're trying to convey. And it's something that I think all authors think about when they're handing
Mhm.
over a manuscript. So it's comforting to know that
Yeah.
because you care so much about the authors themselves, that you're not interested in changing their voice.
Yeah, no, that's like even sometimes when like I think that something might not be working,
Hmm.
um I'll talk to the author about it. Like yesterday with the same manuscript, I messaged the client and I was like, "Hey, I feel like this needs to change. If you have time," like I took a photo of the screen and I was like, "If you have time, can you like reword this and send it back to me? Because I can't. Like I can't do it the way you do it."
Yeah,
So she like rewrote it, sent it, and I put it in and like
totally.
fiddled with it as at the same time.
Yep.
So I'm not interested in
Mm.
putting my voice in. I
Mm.
think I've come to realize that I enjoy being in the background. Like I want to help people achieve their dreams, and my dream is to sort of like just have my name in the copyright page and that's
Yep.
it.
Oh,
I don't want to be yeah, I don't want to be a co-author.
oh.
Like
No,
because
totally.
sometimes when you're doing that, you're becoming more a co-author than an editor.
Yeah.
So I just want
Yeah.
to like amplify everyone's voices, make their book the best it can be, and just
Yeah.
like scurry back into my burrow.
Hey,
Hide.
but that's the sign of someone who is achieving their own dreams and
Mm,
their cup is full, so they're going to be the hype person for other people. You're living your life in a way that is for the best for yourself, and then you've
mm.
got love to give for everyone else. You have talked a little bit about the why you wanted to make the transition into being an indie book editor from your full-time job and what you studied for, but can you give us an insight into how you made that happen to be an editor, indie book editor full-time?
Yes. Okay. I wish there was more of a plan to it, but it just sort of happened. So it was like the start of last year where I thought, I remember it was the first couple of weeks of prep and I started crying at work and I was like, I can't do
Oh,
this. I can't
yeah.
do it. Like it's just the first couple of weeks of prep are so hard because like they can't even sit, you know?
They just started
So
kinder.
they're just
God.
they're just so cute and little and just fresh. So, it's hard. And I
Yeah.
was like, I literally thought to myself, like you said before, how am I going to be able to do this until my 60s?
Mm,
Probably not.
no. No.
Probably not. So, had this idea and to start editing, and I thought it would take a while to set up. So, I started by doing like a certificate of editing and proofreading. But
Ah.
I also had my extensive reading history to
Yeah.
back me up. So along
Yep.
with that course, I had my extensive reading, my Bachelor of Arts, which was
Yep.
majoring in literature and history,
Yep.
and just like proofreading lots of academic stuff along the way,
Yep.
and also teaching
Yep.
punctuation and grammar.
So that was like
Um,
a double degree, is that right? In
yeah.
the, yeah, education and arts. Wow. That's a lot.
Well, it was just arts to begin with, and
Yep.
then education. This was back when you could like learn to be a teacher in 1 year. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like it's something I've been preparing for my whole life. It wasn't just something I was like, I could do this, but it was
Mm.
like a slow, steady progression.
Yep.
And I knew it was something I was really good at. It's something I've always been good at.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that course and then looked into starting a business and I sort of had to figure out, what do I need to know? What do I
Yep.
need to set up first? So I think I started off I think I spent a day on it. I like chose the name, I registered the business, I got an ABN.
Yep.
So it is, yeah.
ABN. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
did all of the admin stuff and I
Yep.
was like, I feel good about this. And then I put together a very rough website
Yep.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just start a social media page.
Hmm.
And because I was like, it's gonna take you at least 6 months to get things
Yeah.
started. Like it's gonna go really slow.
Hmm.
I'd also spoken to lots of indie authors,
Mm.
sort of like to give me advice, and I looked into other editors as well. But my main thing was like, how am I gonna stand out on my own?
Yep.
Um,
Mm.
and because I had already been on Bookstagram for maybe 2 years
Hmm.
by that stage.
That's
Um,
decent.
yeah, and
Mm.
my focus on Bookstagram changed over time from like knowing about only the traditionally published authors to knowing about indie authors, and like that just opened up a whole new world for me. So
Yes.
I'd always been very like supportive and outspoken about indie authors.
Yeah.
And then it was really lovely because those authors I supported helped me
Yeah.
set Hummingbird up as well. So
Wow.
just based on like their advice and like what they look for in an editor and things like that. So I started the Instagram page for Hummingbird. Like a week later, I had my first client booked in.
Amazing. How does
Yeah,
that happen? I think things start to snowball once you are in alignment with what you want to do. And that
yeah.
was kind of what happened there. So the first client after 1 week.
Yeah. And then
Amazing.
I had a few inquiries. I remember like because I edit for Sophie Thomas, who is in the UK. She was my first email inquiry through my website. And I remember just like running into work that day and being like, oh my gosh, I got an inquiry
From the UK as
from the
well.
UK. And
Oh,
then and that
amazing.
was I think that was in February or March, and I was going to the UK in April, so I got to meet her as well.
Yeah.
And then the first client I booked in though was Rachel.
Oh,
Be my saving
Rachel.
grace. So
Be My Saving Grace was the first.
yeah.
From shout out to Rachel. I'll make sure to
Yeah.
put a little banner there.
Forever grateful to Rachel for giving me a chance.
Wow.
Um, we spoke on the phone as well. So
Yeah.
like the onboarding was very, it wasn't like just through the internet and
Nah.
typing emails and stuff. Like we
Yeah.
actually had a chat and yeah.
Yeah.
And I've come a long way and learnt so much since that first edit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, then um Simone, SK May, I booked her in
Yep.
and she's just like
Oh.
the ultimate hype girl.
Oh,
She's told everyone.
she has. She is someone who hypes everyone up, but that's who how I found you is from
Yeah.
Simone.
I
Yep.
call her my marketing manager because
Yes,
she
she
just
is. Yeah.
yeah.
But every time we talk about her and I'll say, "Oh, you're so amazing," she's like, "No, I'm not. Blah blah blah. I just do
Oh
this
yeah.
and all that kind of stuff." And I'm like, you actually are so amazing. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to stop saying that. Same to Rachel as well. She's such a hype girl too. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, the community is all about hyping each other up because I think we know how kind of the odds are stacked against you in a lot of different ways of
Mm.
expanding reach compared to traditionally published books. But that's the tide is changing, I feel personally, with
Mm.
what people are after and the kind of
Yeah.
stories that people are
Yeah.
after.
And
Mm.
especially with all the signings happening and the exposure that indie authors are getting, like, yeah, I'm feeling really optimistic about it.
Yeah, I think your
Yeah.
career as an indie author, editor, but author maybe later, is not slowing down anytime soon. And I
Well,
think,
yeah, it's
yeah,
started fast and it's going fast and
yeah,
it
yeah.
was so yeah, last year was all about full-time teaching, part-time editing, and I knew this is just going to be a hobby sort
Yep.
of thing, like extra hustle on the side. But I fell in love with it like hard. Like I was like, holy moly, this is it. Like this is it. And I've never had a moment before I was like, I feel it. Like this is it. This is the one for me.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah, so I think yeah, and then from then it just snowballed.
Yeah,
Word of mouth,
word of mouth.
the pink theme of my whole brand. People love that.
I love it. I love a cohesive brand. I was surprised because you're not a graphic designer or you don't have a background in it or anything.
No.
No, how good's that? Like you just have
Thank
a
you, Kemba.
natural, yeah, I know, right? I think someone who works in the industry, that was what I was gravitating to, first of all, is how cohesive, how professional you made it look for someone who, you said like you spent a day on getting all the admin stuff up, got the website going. That's all you need.
Mm,
And you made it happen. And
yeah.
everything, I think you must have like a visual inclination or something like in the way that you process stuff and like to see things, attracted to certain things. Maybe there's an artistic
Yeah.
bone in your body.
Because
Probably.
I use templates,
Mm.
but I'm also like very particular about
Yeah.
everything in a
Yeah.
post. Like it takes me forever. Sometimes I put a post together and I'm like, no.
Oh, I
And I go and
get
I start
you.
again. I'm like,
It takes me so long as well, which sometimes I
yeah,
wish I didn't have to worry about that. It's like, just chuck it out there. But the other side of me is like, no, it has to be good and I have to spend time on it. It takes a lot of
yes,
time.
it really does.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it's working. And your page is beautiful too, with all of your
Oh,
art and your
thank you.
graphics.
Oh, I love it. I love doing all that stuff. That's definitely a
Yeah.
hobby of mine as well. And the illustrative stuff I've done in the background for many years, that was something I wanted to do more than writing in a lot of ways. And that has
Mm.
started to pick up a little bit more with like clients and working with other people a bit more alongside
That's
writing too.
exciting.
Yeah, just another little thing to add to the things that I'm doing, but
I
just
think
keep on working at it.
like that is such obviously it's a great way to make money, but also like the
Mm.
opportunities to work with people and create that art. I just if I could do art, I feel like that would be a really
Yeah.
amazing thing to go into as well.
Well, you're creating the literary art. We've got the
Yeah,
visual
I'm a word
stuff.
person.
You're a word person, and
Yeah.
that's where it comes across. And I think you are contributing to an art form. So it is
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah. Yeah, you're an
Yeah,
artist
for sure.
of the words. You never know. I can give you some tutorials on how to draw some characters and all
I've
that.
been thinking about it lately, but I'm also
Yeah.
like, girl, where is the time? I'm always like,
Oh,
I could probably do it if I just give up sleeping altogether.
yeah. Just get rid of it,
Who needs it?
Just live on like, I don't know, 10 cups of coffee a day. You'll be
I
fine.
don't even drink coffee. How
Oh, there
tragic.
we go. Lots of tea.
Tea, yes. Yes, so much
Yes.
tea.
So much tea. No, I love it. And I think that, yeah, I think aesthetics play a big part in your branding. I
And that
love
was, yeah, totally by accident.
you just
I
chose
just sort of
pink.
started and I was like, I'll just keep
Yeah.
going with pink.
Yeah, things just come together when you just listen to your gut feeling is
Absolutely.
pretty much correct. And I think we
Yep,
got to listen to that a lot more. And that's what you did.
100%.
And look where you are
And
now.
like that's something that's so important, especially like running a business like this,
Yes.
in terms of like you're not really meeting the
Yep.
person you're working with.
Yep.
And obviously, like every editor is going to be different. So I do rely on my gut when I'm actually editing. When I'm like, I see something and I'm
Mm.
like, there's just something in me that's like, oh, I need to fix that. Like, or I
Yeah.
need to change it. Or I need to like buy it somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah. So
think
it's
also,
all about the
yeah.
gut. I'm so in support of that.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to trust their gut.
Absolutely.
Like that gut instinct. Anytime I've,
Yeah.
especially in the past year and a bit, anytime I've ignored my gut instinct, it's
Yeah.
bitten me on the
And
butt.
you're like,
Yeah.
I should have listened. I should have listened to my gut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it keeps proving to me as well, like,
Yeah.
just follow your gut.
Follow your
Like,
gut.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we should be listening to that a lot more. I would love for you to tell us a little bit about how you might approach different editing for different genres. Now, I know that your preferred genres are probably going to be in the romance fantasy sort of space.
Mm.
But is there a difference for, say, if I can think about maybe some genres that are different from each other. So something like Be My Saving Grace by Rachel O'Rourke versus Woman of Wolves by Jess McFarlane. Is the process different, similar, or, yeah, just explain how you might approach those different kind of things.
I think with those two, so the big difference is tone.
Mm,
Just approaching, analyzing the tone and like making sure it's consistent. That's one thing. If we're
yeah.
doing like line copy edits, the process itself is very similar in terms of like, how I approach it, how I do my line and copy edits, because it's sort of rule based, but there's also aspects where, you have to rely on your gut, especially in the line edits,
Yeah.
because you're looking at tone and you're looking at rhythm and you're
Yeah.
looking at the author's voice as well, because you don't want to change that. You want that to be like a massive part of the
Yeah.
the editing process. So there's not much of a difference when it comes to line
Mm.
and copy editing. But if we're doing developmental editing, I find the main differences in that is if I'm doing a developmental edit on like something that is fantasy, like romantasy,
Yep.
because everything I edit has an element of romance,
Yep.
whether big or small.
Hmm.
Um, so there is a big difference between doing a paranormal or fantasy.
Mm.
Maybe paranormal's more on the romance, like contemporary romance side though. Um,
Yeah. Yep.
just because the worlds are so different. So once you sort of step into a different world where,
Yes.
there's magic, there's
The high fantasy sort of vibe. Yeah.
yeah, all those elements, the world building is a huge aspect. And I approach any edit with like the setting itself can function as its own sort of character within the world. Um, so yeah, there is, I feel, more flexibility in editing a fantasy
Yep.
because like anything goes
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yes. Yes. Anything.
And while character growth is so important and relationships are also super important,
Yep.
um, like I said, the setting itself needs to be a character
Mm.
functioning at the same time. So I think
Hmm.
when I'm doing a fantasy, there is more of a focus on that,
Yep.
especially in comparison to like a contemporary romance where like the setting is based on the real world.
Yeah.
So there's not much you can do with it.
There's not many notes to add to that because it already kind
Yeah.
of exists. Yeah.
And again, like I feel like the setting in a contemporary romance should reflect at times the character growth.
Hmm.
So always use an example like, someone moves into an apartment and
Yeah.
it's stark and empty. And, as they sort of, they're in a dark place. And then as they sort of like f find a new life or, give themselves a second chance,
Yep.
they start adding things to their space that reflects their growth, sort of thing.
Yes, yes, or
Yeah.
even maybe like their career progression if they're starting a new
Mm.
job, or however the other love interest, if it's like focusing on one particular character, like a first person book, how that goes with their interaction with that person
Mm.
and what kind of elements that you can give in for that. Yeah, that's really interesting that you say
Yeah.
that fantasy um, is treated like the world is another character.
Yeah, and the creatures are sort of also more pronounced, whereas in
Yes.
contemporary, like you can have animals, but they're
They're going to be a
animals
house
as
cat.
know? Yeah. But yeah, so I think fantasy anything goes,
Yep.
but we still need that character growth, obviously, whereas like a contemporary is more like there needs to be more realism in like the romance and
Yeah.
character growth. Um, like, a female character in a contemporary romance can't just like pull out a sword and chop someone's arms off. If they're
No,
angry, they have to
no.
like manage it in a different way. While if you read that in a fantasy, you'd be like, she is such a badass.
Hell
But in a
yeah.
contemporary, you'd be like, what's happening?
What's
Is this
happening
a dark romance?
now? What's gonna happen? She's going to jail. We're gonna write about her jail arc now.
But yeah,
Oh,
that's why I like dark romance as well, because it sort of
mm.
widens the scope. Like there is more flexibility in what you can do
Yeah.
because you just know it's going to be unhinged anyway.
Well, yeah, and like actually it's funny you say that because last night I went and saw the movie um now I think it's called Ballerina. It's in the John Wick. I don't know whether you're familiar with like the John Wick
Oh
action
yeah.
movies and stuff, but this one focused on like a female protagonist who was an assassin and
Oh,
it was set in the like real world, like low fantasy contemporary world. And yeah, she was certainly unhinged in a lot of different ways, but I really
mm,
enjoyed, indulging in that kind
yeah.
of darkness of like, yeah, she's gonna, screw up some stuff. And
Mm,
yeah, so I think that's interesting how you do have to put on a different cap for different genres in what you're
yeah.
doing. And
Well,
I'm
readers
curious.
have
Oh,
different
sorry.
expectations as well. Sorry.
Yeah, no, no, keep going, keep going. Yeah,
I was just saying, yeah, readers have different expectations of different genres. So
yeah,
you have to keep that in mind and you have to think
definitely.
about what makes a fantasy, what makes a contemporary romance.
Yep.
So you got to make sure, like when I'm doing, anytime I'm editing, I'm always thinking of like, what is a reader going to think of this? Like, does it suit the genre and all that sort of stuff?
Yes. Yes,
Ooh.
and particular with romance and things like that, which is personally something that I'm not that well versed in writing romance.
Mm,
Probably because it doesn't suit my genre with young adult versus I'm just comparing it to like SK May and her trilogy
mm,
of it is like a low fantasy, well, it does cross over into high fantasy as well with like the different worlds that they go into. But I can
mm,
imagine, you know, I think that you were probably editing her stuff alongside when you were doing Still Waters Run Deep for a little bit. So
yeah.
was that kind of like a like you had to get your head into different like okay, this one is a young adult, so it's not so heavy on like the romance, while as I should say for people that haven't read the book, SK May's Whispers series does
Mm.
have a lot more explicit scenes and it's adult romance and things like that. So was that a bit of a bendy sort of process for you?
Actually, a really good question because I don't know. I don't do that. I sort of,
Mm.
I think it's because like I'm not putting my own expectations onto an edit. Like I can separate myself as the reader and take a story for what it is
Yep.
and like delve into that world in an analytical way. And while maybe sometimes I might be like, what if a character does this? I'm not, yeah, I don't think I have to consciously change
Yeah.
my brain.
Yeah.
I just sort of like sit down and I'm like, this is what I'm doing today. And I just sort of dive in.
Yeah.
And I think I put myself in a bit of a bubble as well
Yes.
with
Yes.
each manuscript where I'm like I know, I don't know, I can't explain it. Like
Yeah. You're
it's just a
enjoying the
gut thing.
story for what it
Yeah.
is. So you're probably just like, oh, okay, I'm watching this show now. I'm reading this book now. That's what I'm focusing on. I know that that's
Yeah.
not going to happen. And then when I change up to the other one, I'm like, oh, I've forgotten about what I was working on before. I'm focusing on this one now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not thinking
Mm.
about I'm like if I'm working I do work on multiple manuscripts at once, but when
Mm.
I'm working on one, I'm not like my brain doesn't even go to any other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I could imagine that.
Mm.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really interesting to know because I did have it in the back of my mind thinking, a lot of my friends in the author space don't necessarily write, I don't know whether they've written young adult, but sometimes I do wonder, like, oh, I know, I could learn a little bit about how to craft romance and that kind of stuff in ways that might suit Still Waters Run Deep. So I'm learning a little bit about that. But when I see the books that you edit and things like that, I'm like, yeah. I know who to trust when it comes to like if I ever wanted to write some more romantic stuff.
Mm.
Laura works with a lot of, mostly you work with a lot of indie authors that write romance overall,
Yeah, but
for the
like
most part.
different levels of romance and spice as well.
Yeah.
Kate Broadway has like a general fiction book coming out, which I worked on, and that had like
Mm.
very like it wasn't mainly a romance, but it had like romance undertones.
Yep.
Um, and I love that book so much. But it wasn't like I remember doing a developmental edit and I like there was romantic aspects and I sort of like helped refine them, but they were so subtle and I never at any point was like, oh, I think like it needs to be more obvious and you need to like put spice in it or something. It's
Mm.
I have to think about like what suits the story.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
goes back to what you were saying before. Or it's just like you're not there to change anything what the story is about. You know what is expected. You want to meet the expectations of the readers as well for what they would expect
Mm.
in that genre. So that's really cool how you work with
Yeah,
that.
and I think that's a like a positive of getting to know the client and the author as well,
Yep.
because I sort of know what I can suggest and what I know
Mm.
not to touch.
Yep.
Again,
Yep.
a gut thing.
A gut thing. Just
Yeah.
I really enjoy.
Yeah.
I really enjoy getting to know how you approach how you work with so many different people because yeah, I mean it's the same with like how I approach drawing in a way where I'm just like there are certain things or elements that I can put into a certain sketch that would match the vibe of what that character would be like, but I'm not thinking about anything else when I'm doing it.
Mm.
I'm just immersed into what that
Mm.
client would want. So, yeah. I think we should touch on about what you might find is the hardest part of editing versus the most enjoyable part in your perspective. Hmm.
What is hard about it? I should have thought about this beforehand.
Gut
What's
feeling.
easy about it? I think one of the easiest things is like communicating with my clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and like I love sort of building a relationship that way. I find that really easy because
Yeah.
first of all, like people who want to work with me know, I think on some level that I am like very collaborative.
Yes, they've reached out for a
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. So in order
Yeah.
to do that, I find that quite easy.
Yep.
I find like the editing itself not easy, just
You really enjoy it. Or
I
like,
enjoy it. It's like a smooth process
yeah.
and it's challenging in a way as well,
Yeah.
but it's not hard.
No, no.
It is challenging and I'm constantly learning new things with like every manuscript.
Yeah. Maybe
I
the
think
organ.
maybe the hardest part is like the
Yeah.
admin side of
Yeah,
things.
I can
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
So like writing the contracts and creating the invoices and
Uh,
following up on payments. I hate that.
yeah. Standard business things that you just wish you could
Yeah.
hand off to someone else.
Yeah, and I probably could, but I'm also a little bit of a control freak. So I'm like, I need to know what's happening with
Yeah,
everything.
totally.
Uh,
That's how it
and probably
works.
like the marketing side of things as well.
Oh.
So social media is really hard. And I
Mm.
don't know, I find it hard to set boundaries when it comes to that as well,
Mhm.
because, people could message me at any hour and I'm like, I have to get back to them.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Setting that
Yeah.
boundary is important, I will say. I think like Instagram does have a feature where you can put like silence the notifications or something on it, or like you have hours, or I don't know
I
what it
turn
is.
them off now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. Just
just
on the
because
phone.
I'm constantly checking and getting distracted,
Oh,
I'm like, no, just leave
just
it.
leave it. Oh, I would love to talk a little bit about the Grumpy Sunshine podcast because
Mhm.
this has been a new sort of venture for you and author Kate Louise. How have you been finding the process of running your own podcast alongside editing, alongside
Yeah.
living your life?
Yeah. So just like anything else that I do, it was very spontaneous.
Yep.
And Kate and I, like, we worked together last year on Jumpstart,
Yep.
and that was like in July. And then we just basically never stopped talking. We like met in person when I was in Adelaide.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Um, yeah, we've just become friends, and we were just like, we're talking a lot of shit
Yep.
in this chat. Maybe we should just like turn it into a podcast.
How cool is that? Yeah.
So the fun part is the actual podcast.
Yeah.
The lead up to it is the worst part because I get so nervous.
Yeah.
And just like it's a lot of work.
It
A
is.
lot of work.
Like it's really
Um,
fun, but it's a lot of
it's
work.
so fun. But I'm also like, because now like I've got my Bookstagram, I've got Grumpy
Yeah.
Sunshine page, I've got Hummingbird page on social media, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot of pages. And
Just add
like
another page with your patch fan Instagram, and
I
then you've
actually
got
do have one, but I don't use it.
oh, that's right.
I
I got
haven't
one for
used
my
it in
cat
a
too.
while. I feel like Patch is my main marketing tool on Hummingbird anyway, so
Yes, it's for me. I love
yeah.
animals, so yeah, love patch.
Um, but yeah, it's really good. I love doing it with Kate because
Yeah.
Kate's like super organized and like on
Oh,
top
that
of things,
helps.
and I just wing life.
I think you got to have a healthy balance of that.
Yeah, I
So, yeah,
think so. I'm like, she's trying to wing it more, and I'm trying to be a bit more organized and
yeah.
like intentional about things.
So working with someone is a good way to go, I can
Yeah, I
imagine.
think so.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
learn about that as well for
You're like,
myself
I'll
too.
maybe do that one day.
Maybe. But I have found that what has sustained my enjoyment of doing the Indie Author Life show is having guests on. And I don't think I've done maybe one or two. I've probably done one or two episodes where it's just me, but they're not as fun. I feel like
Yeah.
it's so much more fun to have someone and give like a platform for someone else to be a part of it where we can just chat. And I learn so much from every single
Mm,
person that I interview about their process in the indie author field and
mm,
life that it is. So,
yeah.
yeah, I love how you're doing this podcast. Because shout out to Grumpy Sunshine podcast. There is so much important information on there about choosing an editor, but also good discussion around types of tropes. I think the recent one that I saw was on oh, which one? Maybe I haven't
Female
listened.
main characters
Female
and
main
like
characters.
archetypes. Yeah, we're trying to like have a balance between like having episodes about reading, writing, and editing.
Yep.
So there's something for everyone.
Yes.
And we always base it
Appreciation.
on a topic. So like if we have a guest on, it's not like an
Yeah.
interview style. It's more like
Just talk about
um
this topic.
yeah, like we
Yeah.
had Jess on the other day last week, I think.
Yay! Can't wait for that.
And it was about what was it about? It was about like slow burn versus insta love and like the complexities of
Well,
both.
she's an expert on the former.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Sure is.
Mm,
Because we
that's
were
so
thinking
good.
about it, like who's the right person for this slow burn?
Yes.
Jessica
Jess.
McFarlane. And she's
She's like,
so
oh,
good.
she is
I love her
amazing.
books.
Love, love, love her book. Shout out to Woman of Wolves, Man of Bears is coming out next. Oh, I'm so excited for that. But yeah, that's really interesting and really cool about what you guys are doing. So I'll make sure to give a shout out for that. People, you need to listen to Grumpy Sunshine podcast. What I love too is that the episodes are usually like half an hour to 40 minutes or so.
Mm.
And it's just really nice to listen to in the car. And I know I listen to it at work as well. So you're doing a great
Oh,
job. You're doing
thank
an
you.
amazing job with it. I really enjoy it. So finally, I would love to ask, where can people find you on social media? And are you attending any in-person events in the future that we should know about?
Oh, the events.
The events.
So you can find me I'm mainly active on Instagram
Yep.
at hummingbird.editing. And what else am I on? There's a Facebook group that
Yes.
I'm sort of admin of where
Bring that up.
indie authors can sort of network and support each other.
Yes. Is
Um,
it indie author support? Just
I don't even know what it's called, like indie
indie
author
author networking and
networking and support
support.
group.
Yep, indie author networking and
Yeah.
support group. I'll make
It's
sure
in
to put a
my
link in.
it's a link in my bio on Instagram.
Yep,
And you can also find it on my website.
yep.
As for in-person events, yes, to all of them. I've
Oh,
got I'm going to BB4E in Vancouver next year. No, next month.
next month.
So
Oh,
end of
whoa,
July, start of August. So that's gonna be exciting. And
amazing.
then I've got Rare
Yep.
in October. What else have I got?
Are you going to Sweet Love in October? Sweet Love
I
Book
was thinking
Fair?
about it. Do you
Are
have a table
you?
there?
I do have a table there. Oh.
I know everyone I like is going. I should go.
Yeah, come
I'm
down.
still thinking. I'm also like, I need to calm down on the signings. But then a new signing pops up and I'm like, tickets, please.
Yes, it's hard to say no.
I just love them so much, especially when I have clients there, because that's just nice.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Yeah.
You're a hype person as well. So looks like you're going to everything that's coming up.
Yeah, so if there's a signing, I'm gonna be there probably.
Yep, yep. You're just traveling everywhere. You're in Melbourne, so the Melbourne events are going to be things that you travel to. I'm going to be
Yeah.
at this is not Melbourne, but it is in Victoria, the All Booked Out event. I think that's
Yes, I
coming
saw
up.
that.
Yeah, so
Is
that's
that
next month.
okay?
Yeah, the 12th to 13th of July. So maybe you're in
Okay.
Vancouver. But
No,
anyway.
not in Vancouver yet, but probably like not wanting to do any events in
Absolutely.
the lead up to that.
No, you got to make sure, pace yourself, especially for that big
Yeah.
flight.
Don't talk about it yet. I'm not ready.
I know, but that is so exciting. That is so
I know.
exciting that you've got so much going on. Well, on that note, Laura, I should wrap up our chat. Laura, thank you so much for offering your incredible editing insight into what you do for so many of us indie authors out here that are just trying to get our books out there, and you make it so easy and enjoyable to do so. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
I
And
feel like I wouldn't
yeah.
have done it for anyone else
Oh,
because you're just so lovely and sweet. And
oh
once I
God.
saw you at the event in February and we met for the first time face to face, I was like, she's just the nicest person ever. I have to say yes.
Oh my God. I was honored. I was honored when you said yes. So I was like, I really hope she does. But yeah, I'm so glad that you were part of the show. So, Laura, thank you so much. I really appreciate
Thank you.
it.